Hello, my wonderful, beautiful friends, guys. Welcome back to our /EntitledPeople, where people genuinely believe the world revolves around them. And in today's episode, we've got Karens demanding seats they didn't pay for, putting their hands on other people's kids, entitled idiots causing chaos over the dumbest things imaginable. These stories just keep getting worse and worse today. So yeah, grab your snacks, get comfy, and get ready to shake your head so hard. And as always, this voice only on the Dark Fluff YouTube channel. Over the summer, my 12-year-old daughter and I took a trip to Florida. For the flights, I paid extra to select seats so I could sit with my daughter. I also paid for extra legroom. On the flight back, an older woman claimed I was in her seat, which was next to her husband. I was sitting in the middle, and my daughter was sitting at the window seat, and her husband was in the aisle seat. Anyways, I pull out my boarding pass and I show her that this was my seat. She said her boarding pass also showed my seat, but she wouldn't pull it out. Now, I just assumed the airline must have double booked the seat, so I call over a flight attendant. I explain that this woman says I'm in her seat, and that she says her boarding pass says my seat. I showed him my boarding pass, and he asked to see hers. Her husband hands it to her. It showed a seat in the back of the plane. The flight attendant says that she's supposed to sit in that seat, not mine. And if she wants my seat, she can ask me. But if I say no, she has to take her seat. So the woman asked me, and I said no, since I wanted to sit with my child, and I paid extra for this seat. I only wish it ended there. Her and her husband start shouting at me. Her husband calls me an effing entitled bitch, and she said she would sue me if I didn't give up the seat. I just laughed, and I told her, get out of my face. This is when she calls me an entitled, childless cat lady, as I had my cat with me in a cat backpack under my seat. I said that while I am a cat lady, I do have a child, and then pointed to my daughter. The flight attendant sternly told her to go to her seat or he'd get security, and the Karen angrily walked to her seat while flipping me off. During the flight, my daughter had to use the restroom, so she asked me to ask the husband if he could get up so she could walk through, because even with the extra leg room, it was still too tight to walk through. And the thing is, the guy refused, and he actually moved his leg up higher and called me an effing C-word. It got to the point where I had to call the flight attendant who made him get up so my daughter could get out of her seat. Some people are such entitled idiots. Yeah, some people are seriously miserable human beings. Like, looking to punish strangers because things don't go your way is pathetic. And the husband refusing to let OP's child out of her seat afterwards, shame on you, sir. Like, how dare you act like that after trying to steal someone else's seat? And if you guys thought what that couple did was bonkers, it's not as bad as putting your hands on someone else's child. Listen to this next post. So to start off, I'm a nanny. This week, there was a teacher work day, so I took my kids, ages 4 to 6, to the local children's museum. And I repeat, the children's museum. It was stroller city because what do kids ride around in? Strollers. And here's the cast of characters. There's the entitled mom, the mom's daughter who is roughly 7 years old, the baby's mom, and the baby of maybe 6 to 7 months. Here goes the story. So the Children's Museum has a concession area where you can get a selection of snacks. I purchased each of my kids a granola bar and an apple juice, and we sat down at a table near the register to eat our food. A few minutes after sitting down, I witnessed Karen berating the sweet, young mom. In the line, there was the baby's mom with her jogging stroller and her sleeping baby. Directly behind her was Karen and her daughter. Karen looks at the baby's mom and says, "Hey, can you move your stroller so my daughter can stand closer to the front of the line?" The baby's mom says, "Oh no, I'm sorry, there is not really any space to move her. I need to keep my stroller and baby close to me." This is when Karen says, "Well, your stroller is keeping my daughter from getting closer to the front. Just move it out of the line." The baby's mom says, "I'm sorry, but I can't do that. I need to keep my stroller with me." And then I witness as Karen picks up the stroller with the sleeping baby in it, and she drops it hard outside of the line area. Obviously, the baby wakes up and starts screaming. The baby's mom says, "Excuse me, but why did you do that? That's my baby." And this is when Karen says, "Well, why did you bring your baby here? This is the children's museum, not the baby's museum." Baby's mom, now holding crying baby, says, "Excuse me." But there's lots of things for her to do here. There's an entire infant area, and she enjoys the water exhibit. It was at this point, it was time for baby's mom to order. She orders a bottled water, a yogurt parfait, and a chocolate chip cookie, the last chocolate chip cookie. The Karen, seeing the last cookie gone, starts yelling at the cashier saying, "Did she just take the last cookie? My daughter wants it. Her baby can't even eat food yet." This is when baby's mom looks at Karen and she says, "The cookie is for me. I'm certain that they'll bring out more fresh cookies in a few minutes." And Karen just loses it. She says, "Well, chocolate chip cookies are kids' food." The baby's mom just ignored what she said at this point because she was trying to balance a crying baby on her hip and she was digging out her wallet from her diaper bag. She then paid and then turned around, and this is when Karen starts yelling about the stupid cookie again. Baby's mom just looks at Karen's daughter, and after she had paid for the cookie to eat herself, she graciously hands it to the daughter with a nice, "Here you go, sweetie." Baby's mom then went to pull the stroller away from the register. This is when Karen stuck her foot out in the path of the stroller for literally no legitimate reason. Baby's mom says, "Excuse me, can you please move your foot?" And this is when Karen says, "Don't you run over my foot." Baby's mom says, "I'm trying not to. Can you please move your foot so I can roll my stroller away?" The Karen refused to move, so with her one free hand, baby's mom physically lifted the stroller over Karen's foot. With a lot of effort, she makes it to an open table and was eventually able to rock her baby back to sleep. I felt so bad for baby's mom. The concession stand put out fresh chocolate chip cookies roughly 15 minutes later, so I bought 2 cookies for her and she was so grateful. Once again, guys, some people are such miserable human beings. And the fact that Karen became an even bigger a-hole, especially after baby's mom gave her daughter the cookie she bought, I'm baffled, guys. That said, the mom in the story had the patience of a saint because most parents would have absolutely lost it if some entitled person picked up their stroller with their sleeping baby in it and just plopped it out of the way like a piece of luggage. It only gets worse from here. So when this happened, I was picking up medications at my local pharmacy. When it was my turn, I was called up. I got my medications and then pull out my card to pay. The tech was telling me what medication he had for me along with the indications. And this is when a Karen lady with smeared lipstick armed with a cell phone on speaker came up behind me. She physically pushes me aside and she throws her phone on the counter at this guy. She then yells, "Talk to them. I'm in so much effing pain right now, so talk to them now." Seeing how flustered this worker was, I asked her if she could kindly back up and let me finish my transaction. This is when Karen told me she would not. I got a little sharper and I said, "My medications are private and I need you to back up away from me until I'm done." And she replies with, "Oh, shut up, you a-hole. Did you not hear that I'm in pain? I'm first." Now, a thing about me is I look kind and sweet because I'm a small woman, and also, this is a higher income area. I'm not from the higher income area, and I'm not nice or sweet. This Karen was completely taken aback. when I started cussing her up and down, using not so nice words, throwing every insult I could at her. She never said another word to me, but the pharmacy manager found me in the store and informed me that she was removed from the premises and she's banned from filling medications there for life. So a small justice. I just need to know where the entitlement and audacity is sold for such a low price. Earlier today, my 2-year-old son and I were waiting for some food at Costco's food court. He was sitting in the child seat of the cart, leaning over, hugging a balloon. Enter Karen, stage left. She comes over and she begins touching his back and talking to him. Immediately, I sternly told her, "Excuse me, please don't touch my child." Hearing me say that, the woman seemed shocked, and she mentioned that my son reminded her of her granddaughter. I reiterated, "Okay, but it's not okay to touch someone else's child. Please don't touch him. I'm very protective." We then collect our food and we sat down to eat. A little while later, the woman approaches us again. She says to me, "I'm so sorry for touching your child, but I just need to know. I don't know what country you're from, but you didn't need to be so rude to me." Now, I was ready to accept her apology, but no, the woman doubles down, and she added xenophobia to it. So I snapped back at her, and I say, "Well, I don't know what country you're from where you think it's okay to touch someone else's child." And this is when Karen says, I'm from here. This is my country." She said that indignant that I could assume otherwise. This is when I said to her, "Well, you still shouldn't touch someone else's child." And with the most idiotic of retorts, the woman spits out, "Well, you're stupid," and she starts storming away. Something in me had to have the last word, so I shout after her, "I was polite. I said excuse me and please don't touch my child." And again, she throws another, "Well, you're stupid," over her shoulder as she stomped off. Thankfully, some others sitting nearby were polite, and they start chatting with me, and they asked what happened. When I told them, they fully backed me up, agreeing that what she did was inappropriate behavior. I hope she goes home and she bitches about me to her family, and they also put her in her place. Seriously, the nerve of that Karen to act like a complete toddler when she was in the wrong and called out for it. And guys, I just love it when Karens are shut down so badly that all they can do is resort to childish insults. And this person comments, "I wish you had the presence of mind to tell her, if you're really from here, you've been in this country while stranger danger became a thing, and you know better than to act like a kidnapper." And this person comments, "She's only seen her granddaughter on Facebook. Trust." So I recently moved into a nice house with a good-sized yard, just shy of an acre, in a nice location in my town. The area looked amazing. It didn't have an HOA, no red flags at all. And then, after living here for 4 months, I realized 2 things. Number 1, I'm surrounded on all sides by retired folk who apparently need to walk into my yard and strike up a conversation with me anytime they so much as see my open back door. Or worse, they see me at my kitchen window washing dishes or whatever. There was once an incident where I had invited my family over for a get-together and a small fire in my backyard, and these old folk invited themselves into my backyard. They chatted and they helped themselves to some s'mores off my outside table when I went inside to use the bathroom. My family did not invite them and had said several times, "This is just a family night." Just zero boundaries at all on these guys. It's unreal. Number 2, the neighbors all have dogs, but apparently no fences, and they let them free roam, which is problematic for so many reasons in the area of town. I'm pretty central. I'm like 4 houses away from a major city road. And the fact that the dogs come to bother my dog, who I had leashed to a stake when he needed to go out, is really annoying. Sometimes, the people even bring their dogs to my yard if they catch me bringing my dog out, which pretty much means I have to bring my dog back inside because their dogs don't play nice. Some of them even complained that I'm babying my dog too much and just let dogs be dogs. So I decided to kill a few birds with one stone, and I put up a nice 6-foot-tall privacy fence. This is to keep the dogs and the neighbors out and keep my dog in, and also give him a lot more roaming space than he had with his leash on a stake. With the slope of the ground in the neighborhood, and all but one house being one floor, only one neighbor a few houses down with a 2-story home was able to see in my backyard without physically entering my backyard. My fence went up a little over 2 weeks ago, and I thought that would be the end of all of my problems. I put up a couple of signs on the gates, the typical "keep gate shut," "dog in yard" sign, and a "no trespassing" sign. The signs were very visible and close to the latch. And my goodness, could I not have been more wrong? The second day the fence was up, I was grilling a few burgers out with my dog, thinking I was finally going to have the perfect home. And this is when one of the neighbors opens my gate and walks into my yard while saying, "I thought I was smelling something good. How have you been?" He then sat down in a chair while I was a little stunned, and he said, "Haven't seen you too much lately," with a chuckle like he was trying to be funny. I didn't realize he left the gate open until my dog locked eyes with me from across the yard and then bolted for the gate. Thankfully, he didn't get far. I tore into the guy, and he said I shouldn't be bothered by neighbors being neighborly or dogs being dogs. I made it very clear that if I wanted him in my backyard, he'd actually know instead of just assume. He obviously got uncomfortable, and I haven't seen him since, thankfully, but that's only one of them. Hoping it was a one-off occurrence, I opted to not put locks on my gates because surely someone being that oblivious to social norms was a one-off thing, right? Anyways, I figured I would give my dog some more time in the yard, and I set him up with a nice dog house and gave him some messy treats. Just some peanut butter, sauce bones, crumbly things to enjoy in the nice weather. He was loving it for the 10 minutes I was sitting with him. I went to do some laundry and make a few calls. About an hour later, I hear some barking and then him whimpering in the backyard. One of the neighbors thought that they'd let their dog into my backyard to play, and their dog had snipped at my dog and took my dog's treats away from him. And oh boy, I was ready to get my crowbar, but I decided it would be better for everyone involved if I just grabbed the dog and staked it in that neighbor's front yard because they were also apparently gone by the time I grabbed the dog. I then put locks on the gate. I left my dog outside now that I have a locked gate while I ran to the store. I came back to a neighbor trying to figure out the lock combination and had a nice long chat about reading comprehension. The doorbell rang this morning, prompting this post. The neighbors had apparently had an intervention on my porch about how I should be more welcoming to them and how I should take my fence down so the dogs could play. I told them I don't want their dogs anywhere near my dog, and while I'm sure they're all great people, I want my space to be my space. They just couldn't comprehend that my land is not their land, and eventually, I just shut the door on them. I can't believe I moved here and I want to sell now. Seriously, reading this post, you can't help but to feel bad for OP, like the entitlement of those neighbors. Imagine building a privacy fence, putting up signs, locking the gates, and your super entitled neighbors keep wandering onto your property like they own the place. And the fact they held an intervention because OP wanted privacy on their own property is one of the most insane levels of entitlement I've ever heard. Like, what in the world is going on with this neighborhood? I'm a single female living in an apartment complex. It's just me and my dog. My neighbor across the hall is this grumpy old creepy guy that I've never liked since the day he moved in. The guy keeps junk outside his door, doesn't control his guests, throws food and trash in the common areas, and once, he even tried swinging at my dog with his cane. The guy's always made me feel extremely uncomfortable around him since day one. And the thing is, I've complained and complained to management, but they do nothing about him. The guy plays dumb when confronted, and he goes back to whatever it was he was doing. So about a year ago, he starts taking my packages. I would come home to no packages, and I'd have to wait for him to reappear to get my stuff. I've told him constantly to leave my packages alone. And the guy always says, no, I'm trying to help you out. Now, I've never had a package stolen in this building, never. I've had them delivered to the wrong address, but never stolen. This went back and forth for a full year. The guy would even take them when I was home. I literally opened my door one day to collect my package, only to see him nearly bolting out of his apartment to get it. He saw me and he says, "Oh, you're home. I was about to take your package back to my place," and then went back inside. At this point, I had enough, so I bought a camera. The camera seemed to deter him as he doesn't like it. Last week, I was expecting a book to be delivered. The mailman drops it off, waves to the camera, and leaves, and that's when this creepy guy opens his door. He stares at my package for literally several minutes before trying to take it back to his apartment. I get on the intercom and I yell at him to put my stuff down. The guy drops it. No more than 10 minutes later, he comes back out and he takes the package into his place. And right about now, I had enough. I got off work early, came home, and called the police. The officer who came out watched the video I recorded and then went to talk to my neighbor, and he gave the same excuse as always. She doesn't know that I'm trying to be helpful. Like, I never asked him to start taking my packages. The officer gave him a warning, saying if he took anything else from my door, that I could press charges against him and he would be arrested. Now the guy's pissed. My camera also records video, and I could hear him complaining to his niece and everyone that I didn't need to call the cops, and again, he's looking out for me. I would feel safer with a tiger stalking me in the woods, to be honest. But this is my story, and I wanted to share it. So a few hours ago, my auntie, that's what we call her, called my mother about something that happened today. Her pissed off black woman voice could be heard across the room. I was curious to what happened, as I was worried that something bad happened, as I've never seen her so angry, so I asked my mom to put her on speakerphone. The following story she told us is parallel to a situation my mother and I went through when I was very young, and here's how it began. Early this afternoon, my auntie, aged 52, and her daughter, aged 9, went to the store to pick up some baking supplies for my cousin to make her gingerbread house. My cousins always wanted to make one and was inspired when I shared photos of the holiday goodies I made. I told her it's more fun to make food from scratch, and she wanted to give it a try. That was their plan for this week. So with that, cousin and auntie went to Dollar Tree for candy since they could get more for way less, and then their local grocery store for the good brand name stuff. They had most of their ingredients at home, so they didn't need much. Since it was a busy day at the store, they were in line for quite a while. My cousin bounced with excitement, saying how she couldn't wait to get started on the gingerbread house and make it so cute. There was also a woman in line behind them. My auntie assumed a 40-something whose outfit said that she could buy anything at full price and still afford bills for the month. The woman said with a big smile, "Your daughter has such pretty hair." Now, one thing about the women in my family is we all have great hair because we take care of it. It's thick, healthy, and beautiful, and we take pride in it. We all stopped using relaxers before cousin was even born, so it was 100% pure African American hair. It's a lot of work, but the payoff's worth it. And the thing is, my cousin loves getting her hair styled. Today's style was 2 twists over her head like a headband. along with butterfly clips and matching bubble balls, around 4 separate, evenly parted twists with flower barrettes on the ends. It was windy where they live, so Auntie also gelled her hair down. My auntie thanks the woman for the compliment as my cousins shy around strangers. They then inch forward, feeling uneasy as the woman got uncomfortably close. When Auntie starts loading their things on the conveyor belt, she noticed that one of Cousin's flower barrettes fell off and one of her twists came loose. Auntie told her to pick it up as not to lose it. Cousin bent down to get it, and as soon as she stands up, the woman behind grabs her and starts touching her hair. This total stranger put her hands on another stranger's child. Not only that, but my auntie's child. And yeah, her obituary would be in the works if it were my kid. When Auntie saw her, she hollers, "Bitch, get your effing hands off my child." The woman stares at her wide-eyed, but didn't stop. She says, "Oh, it's fine. Her hair is just so pretty. I can't resist the urge to touch it." This is when Auntie starts taking her earrings off, and it wasn't her first fight. She says to Karen, "Lady, I do not know you, and I'm not above resisting the urge to touch you." She then snatches the woman's hand away and she throws it aside, smacking it into the conveyor belt. The woman cries out in pain while clutching her hand, and she has the nerve to yell, "What the F is wrong with you?" My auntie tells her, "You don't put your hands on someone else's child. If I did that to your kid, you would have me arrested probably." The woman then looks at my cousin, who's on the verge of tears, and she says, "I bet your mean mommy beats you at home, doesn't she? You're probably being abused. I can take you away from that pain." My cousin began to step back from the woman, smelling the crazy on her, and this woman quickly grabs her arm by force. My cousin shrieks, and my auntie backhands the woman clean across the face. The woman just gasped, and she stared at my auntie like she was crazy. And to my auntie's credit, she was the right kind of crazy. The kind you don't mess with when it comes to her cubs. My auntie didn't know if someone called a manager or security, or if they were already coming, but they did. The 2 security men restrained my auntie. And the thing is, she's no small lady. The woman immediately starts sobbing and told them, "Arrest this psycho. She assaulted me when all I did was say her daughter's hair was pretty." This is when Auntie says, "You put your hands on my baby. You're lucky that I'm not whooping your butt up and down these aisles." The cashier and some onlookers vouched for her, saying that she didn't know the woman, and this woman just started touching my cousin's hair for no reason. The manager told one of the security guards to stay with the woman, while he, Auntie, and the other guard went to his office. Auntie told them everything that happened before they checked the CCTVs. Everything from the woman touching cousin's hair to Auntie slapping the taste out of her mouth when she tried to grab my cousin by force. Everything Auntie told them was caught on video. The manager then asked if cousin was okay, and she said yes, that she was just scared for the other woman because she thought her mom was going to, and I quote, "beat the crap out of that woman and curb stomp her." This made the security guy laugh. He was a black man with a daughter himself, and he agreed that his wife would have done the same thing. They went back to the woman and told her that Auntie was acting out of self-defense for her child. The manager told her that because she grabbed the little girl by force, she was on the hook for first-degree kidnapping charges. And this is when the woman starts fuming and she shouts, "It's not my fault that this insert skin pigment related slur is a horrible mother." And there it was. The manager, the security guards, the onlookers, and Auntie saw a lot of dropped jaws and they heard a lot of shocked gasps. The woman realized what she said and she sputters trying to save face. The manager promptly told her to shut up, and then asked Auntie if she wanted to press charges. Auntie said, "Hell yeah, she's going to jail." In the end, the woman got some lovely silver bracelets to go with her outfit, and she was escorted out of the store. She was charged for attempted kidnapping and banned from the store. Surprise, surprise. Some people did clap as the woman was escorted out. Auntie's $40 purchase was comped, and they went home. What a post that was, guys, and honestly, I just don't get how Karens always take things from 0 to 100 so quickly. Like, this somehow went from complimenting a child's hair, to grabbing the kid, to accusing the mom of abuse, to literally trying to drag the child away and ending up in jail. Some people desperately need to learn that children are not public property. And hopefully, this one Karen learned a lesson she'll never forget. And that, my friends, brings us to another end of our /entitled people. Guys, I hope you enjoyed today's stories. If you did, hit that thumbs up. And if you're not subscribed, consider subscribing so you don't miss these crazy stories. And if you missed the last episode on the channel, it's an r/I don't work here lady episode, where a psycho Karen follows OP to their workplace to try to get them fired. It's such a wild episode, so go check it out if you haven't. And myself and Stevie Boy will see you guys in the next one. We love you.